So good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to the Employer Partnership webinar. My name's Sam Knowlton, and I've got on the call today Richard Harrell, who's Assistant Principal here and runs our Employer Partnership programme. I've got Alice, who's my PA, and will do all the magic in the background. So I need to inform you that we are recording this, so it can be played back later. That would be great. I've got Mike Halladay, who's Head of Employer Engagement Strategy. And I have Ivan Kearney, who's Head of Crown Packaging, who's going to do a case study for me today. And obviously you guys, so thank you very much for turning up. So just some housekeeping. I think if you've got any questions, you could pop them in the chat bar. I think that would work. And I think, Alice, would you be able to manage those questions for me, please? Would that be okay? Thank you. So I think the purpose, people have said to me, well, why am I doing this? Well, I'm new principal here at UTC Oxfordshire, and we're in this new era and environment for everybody in terms of virtual learning, virtual teaching, virtual presenting. So this is totally out of my comfort zone. So Mike somehow persuaded me that this would be a really good idea. So I wanted to say hi, here I am. And it's times like this that gives us opportunities to really build on some of the solid foundations that we've had with employers. And I know that a lot of you have worked with UTC Oxfordshire in the past, and some of you, John, thank you, new to UTC Oxfordshire and what we do here. So we're wanting to build on our employability partnerships and hopefully have some strong relationships going forward, and seeing if we can have some symbiotic work. So I thought I'd start by, here we go. This is me. It took a lot of pictures to take that one. I realise I'm wearing exactly the same suit as I am in that picture, so it wasn't one that was taken this morning. But for me, this job was absolutely perfect. I come from a background in both industry and education. So a little bit about me. I spent a number of years prior to becoming a teacher in the plastics industry, in the communication sector, and I did a little bit in pharmaceuticals as well. I qualified as a head, and I became a teacher, having been in industry, and qualified as a head. I sort of did a very fast track to leadership, and I decided at that point I probably wasn't ready for headship, and I had another opportunity presented to me. I was really into my sport, and I had the opportunity to represent my sport at an international level, and that was in archery. So I came out of education for 3 years and trained for the Olympics, which was quite tough. But during that time, I ran a manufacturing company, and so I had lots to do with CNC machines, leatherworks, used my plastics knowledge. I worked with laminating, packaging, and all of the other support mechanisms around industries, so the subsidiary functions that go on in a company, so HR, logistics. It was quite a small company, but you get to know all of the ins and outs of those industries. So I wasn't successful for the Olympics, but I did come 8th in the world at my archery, so that's, and I haven't picked up a bow since, so please don't ask me to come and demonstrate any of my archery prowess, because I don't think I could even pull a bow now. But anyway, so I returned to school, and I returned to leadership, and I knew now that I wanted to be a principal. But this journey from leadership, I came back into leadership, and for me to be a principal in this school that links my industry experience and education together just is absolutely the perfect job. It gives the young people a purpose and a direction for their education, opposed to just education for education's sake. And I really love that. So again, I'm very fortunate. UTC Oxfordshire has a rating of good. And as part of that rating of good, we can't underestimate the influence and the partnership that the employers that have supported us in that have had to that Ofsted rated good. As you can see, it says partnerships with innovative employers and industry experts provide a wealth of rich and well-focused learning experiences. These underpin the UTC's engaging curriculum for science and engineering. So that was in June 2018. Last year, we were recognised for our Key Stage 5 results. We were top 1% of the country for non-selective schools at Key Stage 5, and we couldn't have done that without the support of the employee partners. And I think the good thing about this is that you know, the influence that you can have over our young people and making that education really worthwhile for what they're going to face in the future is really important part of what we do here. So what's our vision moving forward? So our vision moving forward is, obviously we'd like to be outstanding, that would be fab, but we have a common vision of science and engineering and excellence. This is our USP. So we have this embedded across our curriculum. We don't just want it as a bolt-on. I think in some schools when they work with employers or they have work experience, it's kind of an add-on. We really have begun to engage with employers and have this as part of our curriculum, and we really want to develop that a little bit further. We obviously want to grow our student numbers to full capacity. At the moment, we're about half full. We've got just under 321, but we've got capacity here for 600 students on site. So we really want to grow that student number so that we can have more choices here. And what's really important for you is developing this talent that's relative to your sectors, that business community. You know, Thames Valley is one of the highest small business communities in the country. It's got a real concentration, as you're aware, of small businesses that require talents and skills and employability skills that are going to feed into your businesses. So if we can be part of that and produce students and young people that you're going to want to employ with your support and your direction, then that's, you know, is going to work for all of us. And to embed that, it's having that industry mindset as the core of our approach. We're really lucky here in that our staff really get it. They're not just teachers, they understand. Lots of our staff have come from an industrial background as well. So whilst they're educators, they have that industry background and mindset, and like myself, they know that that's part of the core to our approach of the education. So what we're wanting to do is, you know, improve that connectedness with you, our partners, and work more closely with you. That would be, you know, you're the future employers of our students, and so by you having an influence on our students is great for everyone. So I've sort of rattled through. I'm going to pass you over to Richard, who's going to talk about what we have done as UTC in terms of and what that partnering will look like. So Richard, enough of my waffle, you carry on.
Thanks, Sam. So I'm Richard Harrell, and I've been at UTC since we opened, so a long time ago now, and we're in our 5th year. And I'm responsible for employability, and as part of employability, one part of that is employer-led projects, and that's sort of now broadened into employer engagement. So we're not just talking about just employer-led projects. We really want to engage with lots of different employers in lots of different ways, and that could be for things just like you could want to come and run a project with us, which of course we'd love to do. It could be work placements that you want to have available for our students, or you might want to come in and do an assembly or a talk, or perhaps you've got some technology you'd like to demonstrate to our students. Perhaps even just like a little workshop. Some of our employers come and do little workshops with us. We've even had workshops on specialist engineering software, where this is new and coming into the market, and so they wanted to demonstrate some of that new stuff to our students and get some feedback, interestingly. We're developing something in the background of a mentoring and sponsorship program, which we're going to work with certainly our existing partners to try and develop. So that's probably the first time that you know, we've got. I can see Dave there from UKAA. So you know, we've got you know, Mark and Darren from BMW, and Ivan from Crown, and Matt from Crown, and we've got some good people, some really talented people that we can really start to build something quite special, I think, in the background. So I'm going to be working with hopefully these guys over the next few months and putting together things like a mentoring and sponsorship program, I think. one of the things that I'd really like to develop more as well would be, we've got within, say, the engineering qualification, there are 15 different units, and they're really quite diverse units. And it would be really good to have direct input from employers that say, for example, if we're delivering about materials, engineering materials, if we've got a company that has expertise in that, we could make that unit into, say, I'm just looking in front of me, say Crown. I know Crown do a lot with materials. We could have the Crown unit, for example, and they could come in and deliver specialist parts of that unit. And that really would start to, raise us to that next level and integrate our employers right directly into the curriculum and have that influence over that. Site visits as well. Obviously, you guys have got some very interesting places of work, which is always inspiring for our students to come and see. And if that seems like a big list of commitments and things, and you just wanted to help and support us, obviously, just to donate to us and just to keep us floating would obviously, we wouldn't frown upon either. So, I mean, you can see that there's a lot of things that we can do together and work together there. And as a result of that, you would end up with a strong talent pipeline, which would hopefully satisfy some of your recruitment needs of your organisation, because we realise that they are also quite diverse needs, and you can't take somebody straight from a qualification and put them in a job. They've got to be trained in the way you do things. So Sam, could I just advance that one more?
Yep, no problem, sorry.
So yeah, you'd also have access to technical students. And what's interesting about working with our students is they've already made, by coming to this college, a commitment to science, technology, engineering and maths. So you're already getting those students, which is quite special in itself, I think. Our students are quite diverse. So if you're looking for, different ways of thinking or approaching problems, this is a good way of attracting that young, diverse talent into your organisation. And as I just mentioned there about possibly coming in and actually delivering part of our curriculum, working with us and setting assignments and things like that, it would be, I mean, what a great opportunity to come in and sort of say, look, this is our specialism, this is what we do, and this is how we do it. So let me teach the next generation of engineers and scientists the techniques that we're using, so that when you leave college and when you leave school, you're already at an advantage to your peers. But we're getting already, you're using the software we use, or you're thinking the way we'd like you to think. And we hear time and time again from our partners that their staff get so much out of working with us, just because they're, I think probably a lot of it is because you never really know what the students are going to come up with. And so when you set a project, you could, for example, one of the projects might be to use a Vex robotics kit to solve a problem, and you're going to get a whole range of different solutions to that. And some of them you're going to go, yeah, I expected that, and some of them you're going to definitely see and you're going to go, wow, I didn't see that one coming. And so it really is nice for your staff to come and engage with us, because they will also get an awful lot out of it, and it's a great CPD opportunity for them. This is an important one for me, is the challenging industry stereotypes. I learned early on when I started this job, probably, well, in teaching, maybe over 10 years ago, that when you're teaching something like engineering, when you say engineering to a student or to parents, they straight away think spanner, oily rag, mechanic, and my head goes. Anyone in this call, I'm sure you're joining in, banging your head against the wall, because you're saying it could not be further from the truth. There is so much diversity and brilliant things that are involved in engineering and science. And I really want to try and crack this industry stereotype, and promote women in science and engineering, and really be, active in doing that as well. And this is a great forum for doing that. Obviously, Sam's already mentioned our mission statement is science and engineering excellence, and it's not a bolt-on. It is part of our DNA. It's why we're here. So having a college and partnering with us, I think we're a bit different from what I would say a normal school or a traditional school, because this is what we want to do. And of course, we know that a lot of organisations have a wider social responsibility agenda, and we'd obviously like to be part of that. in delivering our technical subjects. But in addition to all that, we have sort of this would be, you could use this for marketing, so we can raise awareness and visibility in the local area for your company, and grow your reputation as well as a forward-thinking and a caring company. And the companies we work with are already they're fabulous. They really do give us a lot of time, and they give us a lot of support, and we're really grateful for them. And one of those companies is Crown Packaging. And I know Ivan, you're going to take the next slide. Is that right?
Yeah.
I am, Richard, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to hand over to you there.
Thank you, Richard. And Richard, sorry, I'm going to start off with saying many thanks for the effort that you put in on behalf of UTC, but also on behalf of Crown and getting those the projects that we did last year. I know you spent a lot of time on that, so thank you for that.
Pleasure.
So good morning, everybody. My name is Ivan Kerley. I'm head of Crown's human resources for the global research and development organisations that we have. So we have one here in Wantage, and we have another 2 sites in the USA. And Crown is one of the largest producers of metal cans. That's food cans, your beverage cans, aerosol cans. And we have something like 300 staff in Wantage. Scientists, engineers, and we've got quite a few IT staff and some finance staff as well. So Sam asked me to spend a few minutes talking about our involvement with employer-led projects. And we've been involved with UTC, I think, just after opening. Quite ironic for me because I live in Didcot and I pass UTC every day on my drive to work. So why work with UTC? Local, which is great for us in terms of hiring. We've decided that we spent a lot of time trying to hire people from around the UK and around Europe. But we find when we hire people local, we've more chance of retaining them over the longer term. The other unique thing that I find about UTC is they want employers involved. You know, you've just heard that from Richard, you've heard it from Sam. And it is something really attractive to me as an employer, as somebody who actually wants to, a school that actually wants to work with you, which is great. And it also gets to improve our brand. And that's important to us because, you know, most people know about BMW and et cetera, but if I said to you Crown Packaging, people say, oh, you make paint. Well, no, we make the cans that paint go in, if I'm really honest with you. But now we've at least got 320 people kids at UTC who know a little bit about Crown Packaging, which is great for us. Richard mentioned the recruitment pipeline. So our facility here, we've got quite an ageing workforce. You know, we've been on site since late 70s. So from that, there's a challenge there for us. And I'm sure, as all you employers know, in Oxfordshire, it's a competitive skills environment, and you've got to find something that's very unique that you can do to attract and retain staff. And we've never, it's a sad thing, I checked yesterday, we've never managed to reach full employment. We've always had vacancies every year, which is quite something. I hope my boss doesn't hear that. I'll probably get a bit of trouble for that. And so, yes, we've got the ELP. We do quite a bit in terms of apprenticeships in Oxfordshire, and 3 of our current apprentices are ex-UTC guys, which is great. And we use them. We come back to careers evenings. We bring those guys because they can tell people what it's like to work at Crown. We've also sponsored a couple of UTC students through university, through some engineering courses that we do. Crown has a long history of sponsoring kids through university from the 60s. And but it's really good to be able to sponsor some local people through it. I think this is the first time we've managed to do that.
Thank you.
Now, last year was our largest involvement with UTC. We did ELP, as you can see there, hopefully across four year groups. And so a bit of a challenge for us. I think beforehand we'd done 1 or 2, but this time we picked up the 4, which was great. And these were all real life projects for us. So year 10 got a good science project. So beverage, what we call beverage pack test. So believe it or not, we protect the can from whatever the contents are going to be. And then we're obviously looking to see over 6 months, over a year, over 3 years, over 5 years, how well the coatings that we've got inside the can withstand it and keep the can protected. So quite a bit of work in terms of that. Year 11 picked up a great sustainability project. You know, there's a lot of efforts to reduce the amount of plastics in the world. And we've had a couple of our customers come to us who normally pack coffee in some of these plastic type packaging and multi-layer packaging. So they've been looking to see how we can get coffee machines. We do a little pod now for coffee machines. So that's a little bit of innovation in there, but we're still looking to try and do some more. Richard touched on the robotics challenge that we had in year 12. This was with the VEX kits. So we were looking to develop a robotic can transfer system, you know, that can pick up cans easily for inspection, because at the moment that's a manual process. So can we find some way of doing it with terms of robotics? And then finally, the year 13 project was all about resealable beverage cans, and particularly the ends that go on the top, sorry. So there are some resealable cans out there at the moment. You can see some are quite successful. The can there, we're interested in this. We don't have a commercial one in the marketplace at the moment. Our competitors do, because we've never managed to invent one that we think is going to reach the levels of performance that you're really looking for. So it's easy to have the one that you'll see there, and you probably can pick up in the shops, is one that's got still water. So it's quite easy to do still water because there's no carbonation. But as soon as you start putting carbonation, the pressure is on that end to perform. So again, that was a great project for the guys to do. So we got some great ideas. I think you can see some of the pictures there in terms of the involvement that we had. So we got some great ideas. It was great for our staff as well who were involved in it. They thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's certainly something that we will certainly keep going in that. For the students, you know, they get to develop these key skills. So leadership, problem solving, teamwork, communication. And one of the things I know that Richard, you've got is this employability matrix signposting skills for UTC. You know, that was a great signpost in there to help the students get the most from these projects. So it did take the students out of their comfort zone, gave them a little bit of an insight into the world of work, and gave them the opportunity to interact with industry, which they might not have got. And one final thing, as I mentioned at the start, was the support that we got from UTC was excellent. You know, Richard and Julie, but also that the effort that the students put in as well. They all took it seriously, and I think had a great time from it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ivan. It's fab. And you can see from the photographs there that the students, you know, really got so much out of these employer-led projects. They're really good. So my next bit, those of you that have been sitting really quietly, what I'd really love to hear from you, because I'm new to this, and I know that some of you have been involved with UTC Oxfordshire, like Ivan, from, you know, the start, from the beginning. If anybody's got just ad hoc stories about any of our students that you've taken on either as an apprenticeship or have a positive experience, or would like to share any good news about our students in this forum, I'd be really happy to hear from you. So if you want to unmute and have a shout out, that would be really fab, because I don't know any of you. I've sort of sprung it on you.
I'm more than happy to go. I'm David Godden. I'm the apprentice scheme manager here at UKAEA. And we've always had a very positive experience with UTC students. We've got a few on our scheme at the moment. Excuse me. We've just finished our recruitment drive for this year, and we've had a lot of students from UTC apply, and they've all been very good caliber. I believe I only took this job last year, but I believe we've done the ELP most years with UTC. And it's always been great and engaging for all. It's brilliant because we get our apprentices involved with the ELP and bring them back to meet the students, to chat with them, so they can get real life discussions with the apprentices, rather than you know, a a member of staff come talking to them, they can actually discuss it with the apprentices and see how it is. And we've always found it very, very positive. So I think we'd be definitely looking to continue the partnership with UTC, because I think it's worked brilliantly for us in our apprenticeship scheme.
Thank you, David. That's fab to hear. Excellent. And yes, of course, we want to continue that partnership. That would be great. Anybody else?
Yes, hi, I'm Susanna Falcon from Vertex Pharmaceuticals.
Hi, Susanna. Thank you.
Hi there. We have run for the past 3 years Work Experience Week, where we bring in students from local schools and they go through a series of seminars and practical workshops in our research laboratories. And we've always had a good cohort from UTC. And I think from our first Work in Science Week that we ran, we actually were able to recruit one of your students as an apprentice. So that was a really good outcome for us.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name is Yvette Garcia, and I work for a company called the Engineering Trust. And we obviously help employers in the local area to recruit for their apprentices. And we also want young people to apply to us so that we could help them find apprenticeships in the local area. So again, we've got young people applying to us from all over, but I must admit the candidates from the UTC are usually, as Richard Harrell was saying, the young people who go to the UTC are very determined in or have chosen their career path, and that comes through in their applications. And and the students that have come through our apprenticeship scheme has been fantastic. So looking forward to seeing any more of your students.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi,
I'm
Mark
from. Go on, Mark. You go first.
Sorry. Hi, Mark from BMW Group. I wanted to sort of just talk about, we've obviously had a long-standing relationship from the UTC dating back to when it started, and one thing that I will say is every single year we've taken students from the UTC into one of our apprenticeship options at all levels, from the level 3 to the level 6. And one thing which really we find is very probably a credit to the UTC is whenever we do events involving the UTC, our students, our apprentices that are now with us are always very keen to support, always very keen to go back and to highlight the pathway that is available. And the word pipeline is very important to us, and the UTC is very powerful in providing us with some very good apprentices. And I think the willingness, and we never have to ask the former UTC students to go back. They always want to go back and find the next version of them. I think that speaks volumes for what the UTC embedded in them, not only in their professional skills, but also, apologies, my post has just turned up now, but also in their belief in what the UTC stands for and what they can do. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. And sorry, I didn't catch who the other person
Hi,
was.
it's Rebecca from Taylor Wimpey Oxford. So I'm the project manager at Great Western Park. So obviously we've been involved with the UTC from when it was just a green piece of land. But yeah, we were due to have our first group of work experience students come into the business, and unfortunately obviously that one got cancelled. So no, absolutely not your fault, but it's something that we're looking certainly to build on with you guys. We as a company sponsor the UTC up in Aylesbury because of their bias, but with you being so local, it's so relevant for us to be working with you as well, in terms of things like site visits and that experience. It's exposure to quite a different industry to what you've necessarily been working with previously, maybe I would say, construction, but it's still so heavily reliant on STEM and engineering in our office space and within our technical and commercial departments. So yeah, we're looking on continuing to build with you guys.
It takes it away from the oils and cogs, doesn't it? It shows us another branch of industry that students can get involved with. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Fab. Anybody else at all?
Hi, I'm Sarah Elkins from Great Western Railway. So
Hi, Sarah.
I just got in touch with the college earlier on this year when we were advertising our apprenticeships. We have customer service apprenticeships and engineering apprenticeships. And it always surprises me that we actually struggle to get candidates interested in the roles. I think, as was mentioned earlier, there's a perception about what engineering apprenticeships might be. And we've often called our apprenticeships operations apprenticeships before, which doesn't really mean anything. So, I mean, I work in recruitment. We have an apprenticeship team. So I'm really just trying to find ways to drum up a bit more interest. Our scheme was we're about to run assessments just as lockdown started, so they're kind of on hold at the moment. So I guess going forward, it would be nice to work a bit more closely with you. We run schemes all across our region in different locations every year, and this year we have vacancies in Didcot Parkway Station, which was why I tend to just email colleges and let them know we've got vacancies. It's not so much more sophisticated than that at the moment, but hopefully we can do more in the future.
That would be fab. Thank you very much, Sarah. Excellent. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Ora. I'm from Oxford University.
Hi, Aria.
I work in UK recruitment. So I've been a graduate ambassador in UK recruitment since October, and I just recently graduated from Oxford Brook studying law. So I'm like, still like first job and everything. But what I can say is working in UK recruitment, we've been to loads of careers fairs and higher education fairs and given talks, anything to do progression into higher education. And we have been to UTC Oxfordshire in November and February for your careers fairs, and all the students are all really nice, lovely to talk to, and we offer like lots of science, like STEM courses, as well as degree apprenticeships as well. So in a sense, we're not essentially a business in the sense of like we offer jobs, for example, like GWR, but I work in the university and I did study before, and I wanted to work for the university because I really enjoyed my time at Oxford Brookes, and I felt like it was really nice just to promote something that I really like passionate about. So even if, for example, like your students come into study at a university and then maybe they take a year and do, for example, my job, then go into STEM, there's definitely support in that way. And our degree apprenticeships we offer, for example, in digital and technology solutions. So that would be specialist degree apprenticeship. So that's also something your students can look at if they didn't want to study a traditional course. But in terms of traditional courses, we offer like engineering courses, biology courses, psychology, computer science, all of those type of courses. So yeah.
Fab. Thank you very much, Ari. Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Ria Poliquin and I'm from the Science and Technology Facilities Council. So we're based just up the road on the Harwell campus. We recruit a large intake of engineering apprentices each year, and each year we have very good candidates come through from your college. It's very good. We are definitely keen to engage more with you going forward. Our apprenticeship team is growing, so we're going to have more capacity to engage with you in the next few years. Excellent. Thank you very much, because the Harwell campus is growing, isn't it? Hugely at this time. So yeah. Yeah. Fab. Thank you very much. Anyone else at all? No? Okay, I'm going to be really brave now, and my next slide says, okay, so those of you that have worked with us, and thank you very much for the good news stories, that's fab. What do we need to do to improve? Because we've sort of said what our vision is, and I've got this preconceived idea of sort of when I took the job, but actually I need to hear from you. What do we need to improve to make it better for you? There's that tumbleweed moment. We're obviously doing it perfectly. No, I can see Ari laughing. Does anybody have any suggestions in terms of things that they can initially see that would be an improvement to strengthen those partnerships at all?
Well, that's pretty impressive.
I think so. So I'm okay. So
fantastic.
Excellent.
I just thought of something. I would say maybe because we, as well as Oxford Brook's having a lot of outbound events. We're going to schools and colleges all over the UK. I would recommend maybe you guys coming in for an inbound event sometime when everything goes back to normal. So we have inbound events. So for example, like passport days, where students get to know about the university and like study skills, stuff like that. So any inbound event.
Okay, thank you, Ori. I think that would be really good. One of the things that I've been having one-to-one conversations with staff, and one of the things that's been coming out from staff is that the opportunity for students to come and do some more on-site visits would be really helpful to them to see what those industries are all about. So, you know, we appreciate employer partners coming onto site, which is great, but equally for our students to be able to visit your sites as well is a real strength. Okay, so thank you very much. Mike, I'm going to pass over to you and for you to have a bit of a spiel. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Good morning, everyone. My name's Mike Halladay, and I work for the Multi-Academy Trust at Oxford, UTC Oxfordshire sits within. So my official title is Head of Employer Engagement Strategy, and that role really entails looking across the 4 UTCs within our trust, which are Reading, Heathrow, Swindon, and of course Oxfordshire, as well as the 3 schools, and seeking to identify economies of scale in how we conduct our activities with employers and the wider business community, improving standards and simplifying and streamlining those operations wherever possible. I'm very pleased to say that I've been thrown a wonderful curveball in attempting to shift all of that into a virtual environment for the short-term future. And we're knee-deep in identifying how Microsoft Teams can be utilised to facilitate virtual employer engagement for our students. You know, this is a key part of our ethos. It's a key, unique selling proposition for us in attracting students. And it's, you know, perhaps the biggest sole contributor to behaviour and attitudes while students are learning, their grades and the progress that they make in academic terms, but perhaps most importantly in their character development. So we've got to find a way of ensuring that good work continues in a virtual environment, and adapting as we can to the changing environment that we in education are faced with. So in terms of the work of UTC Oxfordshire, so I'm very pleased to say that you know, in my role in working with the national network of UTCs, Oxfordshire is held in very, very high esteem and is just about to be used. I haven't told you this yet, Sam, but Oxfordshire is just about to be used as a case study for the ELP, as a model of best practice for other UTCs to follow. Right, and this is a high accolade because, you know, there are 47 other UTCs out there that all have active employer engagement, but Oxfordshire is considered to be one of the best at undertaking these sorts of extended projects. So this is already a fantastic achievement. Certainly what we're looking to do as we continue our good work is to, as Richard touched upon earlier, we really want to embed employer involvement within our specialist curriculum. This is particularly suitable for what have always been called vocational qualifications, which we now refer to as technical qualifications. So the BTECs in applied science and engineering that are undertaken at UTC Oxfordshire. Each of these have units within them, and each unit can be supported by an employer that can deliver a project scope and support students in their work in completing projects. Right. This is an example of good practice that's being delivered at other UTCs, including within the Activate Learning Education Trust. And I'm going to be working with Richard to understand how we can introduce that it's actually going to be really difficult to improve on the grades, right? So we just need to sustain those grades, right? Being in the top 1% of the country is no mean feat as a UTC. This is an incredibly high achievement. But actually, you know, one of the key objectives as a business is to be recruiting new students. Okay, so what we really want to do is to qualify what that employer engagement looks like, to harness the goodwill and proactive support of our employers in promoting the UTC, so that not only do we have perhaps, you know, the highest quality talent pool of scientists and engineers, particularly in the region, but actually the quantity of those students, you know, is increased. So we've got the potential to increase our capacity up to 500 students, right? So every year we're looking to be recruiting another 50 students. You know, perhaps this September's a bit early, but certainly next September, that's going to be a really clear target. And we do want to be working with you employers to help us do that. You know, kids in traditional secondary and sixth form education are not benefiting from this quality of employer engagement, which is ultimately what is making them stand out so much to all of the core employers that we've got talking today, and to the much wider SME community. For example, that catchment in Harwell. You know, all of these employers need far better access to a far higher quality of student, and we need to be getting more students. So the work with Richard will be in developing that very, very clear value proposition for you guys. Okay, so you understand exactly what we're asking you to sign up for, in helping you to understand how you can support us in marketing the UTC, which hopefully requires very little work on your side, but actually has an exponential impact on our financial success and our ability to invest in specialist teaching staff. One other point which I'm going to touch on is that across our trust, and indeed across the national network of UTCs, a number of UTCs have been successful in securing funding from employers. Okay, some employers are writing ridiculously huge checks. Okay, that, you know, those things don't just happen, right? That's part of a very comprehensive strategy on the part of those employers. A vast majority of employers are committing what we hope is, you know, perhaps a nominal amount of funding. So this might be, you know, £100 a month, which supports us in adding value to that student experience, ensuring that we have regularly refreshed technology infrastructure to make sure that we are sustaining our world-class environment. So that is work in progress at the moment, but I wanted to put that on your radar. You're a captive group of employers that all want to hear about what the vision is. Of course, you know, Sam's brand new in the role, you know, hasn't been in charge of a single normal operational day at the UTC. So everything's happening virtually, but as is often the case, you know, disruption causes innovation, and we're all able to have this hopefully very informative discussion, which will form the basis of more collaborative working with you as employers, and building a community that can all collectively support the UTC in getting to outstanding. We've got to get to outstanding in all areas, right? In recruiting more students, and in ensuring our financial viability moving forward, in maintaining our position as a world-class educational institution. So that's a bit of a summary. I'm going to be working in the background with Sam and Richard and the team to be shaping that proposition, and that's working hand in hand with what we're doing across our trust and with the national network of UTCs. So thanks very much for your time. I hope that's of interest. I'll be happy to either field any questions you got now, or perhaps if you want to direct any questions that you might have via Sam about wider engagement across the trusts. BMW is a good example. BMW works with UTC Swindon and regularly recruits students from there as well. So there are opportunities and scope to extend your activities across the trust. But today I'm just talking about UTC Oxfordshire. So Sam, thanks very much for giving me a little time slot on the call. I really appreciate it. It's great to hear from the employers. So thank you very much, Sam.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, Mike. That's fab. Okay, so I just really wanted to recap that by partnering with us, you've got the following: the ability to raise STEM-related sectors of students in technical persuasion, build a culture of technical literacy across grassroots level, and actively contribute to narrowing the industry skills gap. I think what we've got here is a pipeline of talent that gives you an opportunity to have some young minds that can solve a problem that you might have in your, I guess, your R&D, research and development side of things, and using their imagination and their skill set, you know, help them to help you with regards to that employment. I think in terms of where we go next and what we're going to do, my question is now back over to you. How do you want to be involved? We would love to be able to involve you all on various different levels. If you like what you've seen today, then we'll send you a list of things that you could be involved in. So Mike and Richard have spoken about the different opportunities that we have to engage partners. So that could be the full employer-led partnership programme projects that are big and meaty that Ivan spoke about, or it could be mentoring or some work experience, whatever you felt that you could offer. I think one of the marketing things that we'd really like to do is for us to be shown on your website and vice versa, for you to have a link into our website, so that when parents and local people click on UTC Oxfordshire, they can see that as employers you're partnered with us, and then that takes them to your website. So that could be helpful there. I think if you'd like to contact us directly, that would be great. One of the things that I've heard through the presentation is that perhaps some of you have got apprenticeship vacancies available still. We'd be really, really keen to hear from you. We've had a number of our year 13 students who have been let down from university places or are having second thoughts about university places. So we still have a really strong pool of students who are looking for apprenticeships because they've changed their minds about going to universities. So if you have got any vacancies, that would be really helpful to hear from you. Whether you'd like to email myself or Alice with those, that would be great. And I think my question back to you is, A, has this been useful? That's the first thing. Maybe some thumbs up in the chat or some thumbs down, entirely up to you. Some thumbs up would be good. And you know, going forward, would you like a quarterly update? Richard and I had a bit of a chat about this beforehand and thought maybe a quarterly newsletter updating you on what we've been doing at UTC Oxfordshire, or now that I've calmed down a bit, maybe you know, a quarterly webinar, or maybe a webinar once a year. You know, I can see Mike nodding in the background. But what would you like? What would be helpful to you, so that we can strengthen this partnership? So thank you very much. So if you think it's useful, thumbs up in the chat. Any comments gratefully received. I don't mind if you want to unmute your mics and say something, entirely up to you.
Sam, if I could, if you don't mind.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah, sure. So new to the area and the UTC, this particular UTC, but involved in UTCs for the last few years. I have to say, listening to today's webinar and the comments back from the employers involved with you, it's very impressive, and it sounds like you've got some fantastic students at the school. And ourselves here at Magna are very keen on getting involved in all sorts of levels, so that information coming to us would be very good. And we almost certainly will want to engage with mentoring and with projects, etc., for certain, because we feel here we want to start. We've got an ageing workforce as well, so we want to start developing that pipeline of skills coming into, and particularly around automation and engineering. So
perfect. Thank you very much, John. That's brilliant. Thank you, John. Okay, excellent. Yes, we can do a contact email address. We can send that around to the invites. We'll get a contact email address. That's fine. Quarterly update I can see coming through. That sounds great. Newsletter or webinar? I guess that's the question. So I'm getting that. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Mike, do you have anything further that you would like to add?
I don't know. Just in terms of that quarterly webinar, UTC's working terms So just to help us educationalists sort of get in sync, we might propose a termly webinar. Some examples of good practice. This is just sort of anecdotal. We heard from a UTC that just got Ofsted Outstanding in all areas. They run a monthly employer curriculum session where employers who are seeking to deliver projects in the curriculum can attend. Employers that are already delivering projects can attend, and that is an opportunity to share good practice amongst industry peers, so that you're not starting from scratch. You can check out what project briefs look like. In terms of how that might impact on other areas of involvement, John. So, for example, if you want to get involved in a mentoring program, that type of format could be used to incorporate discussions and planning around that. Certainly in terms of creating economies, we'd much rather have one conversation with 5 or 10 employers than 10 conversations. And we would therefore want to be taking advantage of an opportunity to have everyone on the same call, so that we could collectively approach any new programs that we want to be launching. That's a clear part of our aspiration, and it would certainly save me some time. So let's get back to you on that one. Sam and I and Richard, we're still pretty early on, and we're still kind of in response mode to some of the curveballs being thrown at us. But certainly, we will expect by the end of this summer term to have a very, very clear vision of where we want to be going, and we very much like employers to be contributing towards that direction. So I hope that all sounds good.
Thank you very much, Mike.
It's a few weeks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate your time. I know you all have very busy schedules, but thank you very much. We will get some contact details out to you. I can see in the chat bar there's requests for details on our curriculum. We've got a very exciting new curriculum pathway model, which we'll share with you, and we'll keep you updated as to the next communication from us. And vice versa, in terms of if you've got any apprenticeships available, then that would be great too. But thank you for joining us this morning. Fantastic. Great to see you. Okay, take care.
Thanks very
much.
Thanks very much.
Good work.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.